Hello and welcome to Women Over 40 Losing Weight. I'm your host, Dr. Kisha Pickford, a nurse practitioner, hormone informed metabolic and weight loss strategist, and the founder of Ample Health and Wellness. This is the podcast where we have real, honest conversations about what it actually takes to feel better, stay consistent, and take care of your health after 40 without the extremes, the guilt, or the confusion. And today, we're talking about something I see over and over again, and that's the topic of starting over. And this is actually something that comes up again and again. And recently, when I was at a community event speaking, I was talking to a group of women. And one of the things that kept coming up was this feeling of, I just need to start over. I'm here with my co host, Jay. Jay, let me ask you a little bit about this.
Why do you think so many women feel like they're constantly starting over on their journey?
That is a great question too. I'm supposed to be asking you, but yes, I think it's because we are trying to be perfect in these situations that sometimes just does not go as planned. And additionally, I think it sounds like the right thing to say sometimes. It sounds productive. It sounds like you're about to do something different. You're about to get another motivation, another momentum starting. But what I've learned both personally and working with clients is that starting over is feeling is actually the problem. You know, even for me, I've experienced this.
Absolutely, Keisha. It sounds like for you too, there were moments where that feeling came up. What did that look like in your own journey?
I will say that there have been multiple times where I felt like I needed to start over. It could have been after a very long weekend or hard weekend, balancing work, life, responsibilities, or things just not going as planned. And my first thought on a lot of occasions has been and used to be, I'll just start fresh or start new on Monday. And I'll reset next week. And what I didn't realize at that time was I was delaying my progress and I was not moving forward and I was not progressing in whether it be health, my wellness, my weight loss, or something that could have been related to work or with my family.
So, in a way, those moments of starting over were actually pauses that kept you from continuing the progress you'd already made. Right.
Exactly. Correct. Those were pauses, and those pauses began to add up and brought about a different type of stress that I just could not control, and everything just spiraled because every time you start over, you disconnect from the progress you've already made.
That's a powerful insight, Keisha. Now, I believe you mentioned a client recently who had a similar experience. Would you share what happened and how you coached her through it?
Yes, I see this all the time with clients. And I had a client, we'll call her Sue, who had been doing really well. She was building habits, she was making better choices. But then she had a weekend where things in life just did not go as planned. And her first response to me was, I think I need to start over. I think I need a pause. And I told her something, I want you to hear as well. I told her, you're not starting over. Let's not just start over. Let's continue. Say, we may not continue at the same level, but let's not completely start over. Let's just make a continue, even if it's a small something.
And that shift from starting over to continuing, it's a big mindset change. How did that change things for her?
It changed her mindset, as you have said, because when she stopped trying to get me to let her start over, everything kind of changed and we just had a reset. And she just picked back up with her next decision, her next day, and she kept her momentum. Now, she didn't start back at the level or at 100%. And we kept a little something going on until she could get back to 100% functioning in the program.
That's a great example of how a small shift makes a big difference. Now, Keisha, what's the core message you'd want listeners to take away from this?
Well, here's the truth about starting over. You're not struggling because you don't know what to do. You're struggling because you've been taught that progress has to look perfect. And after 40, that mindset doesn't work. It just does not work. Your body responds better to consistency, nourishment, realistic habits, but not those extremes. So stop starting over and start continuing, even if it's a little bit of a continuation.
I love that. And practically, instead of saying, I'll start over on Monday, what's one way someone could simply continue right now?
Instead of starting over on Monday and putting that quote in your head, how about saying, I'm continuing right now? Even with something small, such as add protein to your next meal so you can get that satiety and won't have those cravings, or begin to drink your water that very next moment, even though you missed it the first 8 hours of the day. Go move your body for 5 minutes, maybe 10, instead of doing a whole 20 or 30, and just make one better decision. That's how real progress happens, and that's how consistency begins to build.
That's such a practical way to shift the mindset. So, if life has thrown someone off recently, what's the final reminder you leave them with?
The final reminder would be you just need your next step, especially if you're thinking about starting over on a Monday, a next month, a next week, a next day. You just need that very next step.
And if someone's ready for that next step, how can they take action with you?
If you're ready for that next step, and if you're tired of starting over and ready to understand what's actually working for your body, my nutrition audit at Ample Health and Wellness is a great place to start. And if you want to go deeper into this journey, my book, The Wait is Over, is also a great resource to use. And we'll have both linked in the program's description so you can explore and see which one is right for you.
That's a great wrap up, Keisha. I think listeners will really appreciate that. Now, let's just close it out with your signature send off.
Yes. Well, thank you, Jay, and thank you to all the listeners for spending time and taking your time with us today. If this episode spoke to you, please be sure to follow the show so you don't miss what's coming next. Until next week, until next time, please give yourself grace, take care of your health, and keep moving forward. See you in the next episode. Bye, Jay.
Bye, Keisha. That was a great conversation, and I'm sure your listeners will really connect with it.
Yes, I hope they will as well. Thank you again for being my co host.
It's always a pleasure to team up with you. I'm looking forward to the next one already. Just let me know when inspiration strikes again.